Hello everybody, and welcome to Guitar Guidance episode 2. This episode has to do with tuning. But before we talk about tuning, we have to talk about one specific aspect of music, and that is of the interval. And why do you think we have to talk about intervals before we talk about tuning? Gold star to you, exactly. So an interval is the combination of two tones. And what we're going to do is we're going to use a C major scale as our example, seeing it as the most simple one. And if you remember from last episode, I gave you the major scale formula. So you should be able to understand this. I recommend trying to play through it on your guitar, maybe take it up an octave or two. So what I'm going to do now, though, I'm actually going to build some intervals using this scale. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to have C as the bottom of every note. And on top of C, I'm going to put every subsequent note in the scale. And every little group we have here is an interval. And they all have specific names depending on where they are on the scale. For example, C to D is a major second, C to E, major third. Following, we have the perfect fourth, then we have the perfect fifth, then we have the minor sixth, and then after that we have the major seventh, but excuse my lowercase m, this is actually a major seventh, don't get it confused. And we have the perfect eight, which is also the octave. And so I'm putting stars under a few of these, and we'll get to that later, but watch me play through this right now, and I recommend that you play through it yourself as well. So moving away from the C major scale, we're going to talk about the E minor scale, mainly because the guitar of today is built around this scale. All the notes of the open strings are inside of the E minor scale. The only difference between C major and E minor is the F sharp. So, like I did earlier, this one consists of a different formula, but, just take it as it is right now. Maybe we'll have another video on minor scales. But as you can see, I'm doing the same exact thing as I did for the C major scale. Only difference between this one and that one is the intervals will have a couple different names. That one stays the same. But this one right here is a minor third, not a major third. And so the sixth here also is a major sixth. And the seventh here is a minor seventh. It's actually a minor seventh. Sometimes we get raised to a major seventh, but that all depends on where the music is leading and how it gets there, okay? So try to play through these and watch the video of me playing them. Much more somber, isn't it? So now that we've talked about those two separate scales, what we're going to talk about now is the chromatic scale and basically all the intervals that exist. And this one's just going to have a few more that we're going to discuss, and one of those being the perfect unison. And a lot of people get confused with this, but it's really just the root of the scale played at the same time in two different locations. And then we have the minor second, which is two notes a half step apart. And then, the next few we've already talked about. And the next more peculiar one we have here is the tritone. And that one's a really crunchy dissonant tone. It's a raised fourth or a lowered fifth, and then all the other ones we've already talked about. And so I'm going to put the stars under those ones. I've been putting them under like usual. And these are the ones we're going to use to tune. And you'll see later in this episode, I use the perfect fourth as a reference, but the perfect fifth and the perfect octave are going to be our guides to tuning. Wonderful. So try to get those in your head. So now let's talk about the steps of tuning. You need to find some sort of version of an A440 frequency. I use a Pitchfork. You can use an electronic tuner as well. There are plenty of different models. But, make sure you find one. And what you're going to do with that frequency is you're going to tune your A string to that frequency. You might even be able to get it on your phone. There are a bunch of different apps that are tuners. And then after that, now what you're going to do is you're going to tune the second fret of your D string to your open A. And you'll see me using the perfect fourth as a reference. And so the next step here, what you're going to do is you're going to tune the second fret of your G string to your open A. So the next step, what you're going to do is you're going to tune your open B string to the second fret of your D string. All right, we're getting closer. So now you're going to tune your open E1 string to the second fret of your D string. All right, so our last and final step, you're going to tune your E6 string to the second fret of your D string. So now let's see how this looks in notation. And keep in mind, I put the frequency as a unison, but it really isn't. It's actually a couple octaves apart, but keep that in mind.